Ahoy listeners, and welcome back to the Yonko Podcast with me, Burke, Coon, and our crew, Alex and Brock. No new chapter this week, so we are doing our official One Piece arc tier list. To be clear, we will not be arguing that any of the lower ranked arcs don't deserve a part of the story. We just might dunk a bit on arcs each of us personally finds not as important or not as fun in the story. We all agree, though, that Oda doesn't have a truly irredeemable arc in his story. Our ranks range from God Usopp tier to Orochi tier. So let's jump in and see where our crew agrees, and where they don't. Let's set sail! Alrighty, let's just get right to it, boys.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the tier list time!
It's tier list time
Tier
with
list.
all of the current arcs of One Piece.
Even
Now,
up to Wano, which
even
is
up
not
to
completed.
Wano, but we will do our best to just put that where we feel it deserves to go.
I think we're in deep enough that it can cement a spot.
But the point is, we'll
Yes.
still put it in because we're far enough in that I think we can at least predict where we think it'll fall on our eventual tier list.
Indeed.
So, as mentioned in the intro, God Usopp is our
S+.
tier. We got Roger for S tier. We got Luffy for A tier. Brook for B tier. We got Barry-Eddie.
Barry-Eddie, the monkey mink.
The monkey mink, just kind of forgettable. Felt like he was a good place for B,
Don't
C
hate
tier.
him, don't love him.
Don't hate him,
He's
don't
there.
really remember him, though.
C tier.
Now, with D tier, we got Caribou, where,
He's a real D, but not the good kind.
Kind of sucks, but at least, he's doing some things that are redeemable.
There's some things in there, but really he's not the greatest.
And then for F tier, we got Orochi.
Orochi sucks!
Worst of the worst. We want him dead. We cannot wait for Kiroshiro to come out from behind a curtain somewhere and kill that motherfucker.
We cannot cut off his heads enough times. We just cannot. We are so
Cut his head
done.
off and then cut out his tongue and shoot his tongue, as Jack Sparrow would say.
Just the worst. Just the worst of the worst, but still the best, because we love all these arcs,
Anyway.
regardless of this tier list.
Let's get right to it. Let's start with Romance Dawn, the thing that started off.
Romance Dawn.
I, personally, would say I think that this it deserves just a solid Luffy. It just deserves a solid Luffy. It's the beginning of the story. It introduces us to Shanks in the manga version of the story. We start with Shanks and Luffy's backstory, Luffy getting the Gomu Gomu no Mi.
Romance Dawn.
And it leads up to the ending of when we get Zoro as part of the crew and we head off on the open sea in our little dinghy.
Well, that is Orange Town, which we will get to more specifically. Yes, right? Zoro's whole arc is Orange Town.
That's Buggy.
Oh, that's right, Buggy.
I was like,
Romance Dawn
Shell's
sees
Town.
our captain and our vice captain meeting up. We have the whole Shanks backstory. A lot of good stuff
The
in there.
eternally memorable Captain Morgan.
It's back in the day when Oda didn't know that he was writing a masterpiece. He was, a young mangaka writing his first, real, turned animation manga. The start of the story. I would say either B or A. I'm willing to go up to A.
okay.
I'm willing to go up to A.
And I put in A, but it's probably when we fill this out a little bit more, it's going to be more towards the bottom of A for me, personally.
We just got A, so I B, A, yeah. It's not the most amazing beginning of the story, but then again, it wasn't supposed to be an amazing story. He was just writing about some pirates.
Well, I think it was supposed to be an amazing story, but it wasn't supposed to be this long spanning story.
I think Oda was trying a lot of things here just to see what caught on, and irregardless, it clearly did. But Romance Dawn was...
I think he had a solid idea of at least what he wanted, just the amount of stuff
You
that
got
would
a boy
be between point A and point B.
who ate a fruit, who can't swim, who's made of rubber, a very lackluster ability, but he kind of makes it his own. Romance Dawn is the beginning of the story. Brock, what do you think? B, A?
Luffy tier,
Better?
Brook tier.
we
Maybe
go.
you think it belongs in Roger tier. Or maybe you think it belongs in Orochi tier. Tell us, Brock.
Well,
Do you just hate the beginning story?
Romance Dawn.
Just kidding.
it's obviously Luffy and Zoro are my least favorite characters. Just kidding.
Kobe was there. Alavita was there.
No, I'd say out of respect for the origins, as well as the introduction of the first and second members of the Straw Hat crew, in the beginning of one of the most beloved anime families of all time, I would put them in A to start with. And then as we start looking through the...
And obviously, once we're finished with putting everything there, we'll do some final cleanup at the very end. So don't feel like putting it there right now is so.
Oh yeah,
definitive.
no, this is
Romance Dawn.
I put Romance Dawn
Luffy
Luffy tier for now.
Cool.
Kind of perfect for Luffy. Luffy's beginning, Luffy tier.
And if you've ever watched the One Piece episodes, makes for some great comedy spoofs of that.
Yeah.
Couple of episodes. So let's move on to Orangetown. Orangetown, where we get to meet Buggy D. Clown for the first time, and we get the... depending on how you go about it, technically this is our first true introduction to Nami, where she actually meets up with Luffy, and they work together to evade the clutches of the red-nosed fiend.
She joins but doesn't join.
Why'd you say it with my nose?
She's just there to help out. You got the buggy bomb. You got Shushu, the dog guarding.
So for me, you just mentioned the thing that puts Orangetown in Luffy tier above Romance Dawn. That Shushu fucking backstory, man.
Oh.
That shit was what made me understand, oh my god, One Piece can make me cry over the most random thing.
You know, a very powerful David Goliath, Shushu versus the giant tiger. Richie, you know, and his whole pirate crew. He's just defending, you know, his master's dream, the store.
Yeah.
And Luffy caring so much about it, and it almost seeming to have this connection before we even really get this voice of all things as like an actual idea that is in our heads. It seems like Luffy understands this dog more than he lets on.
Really simple beginnings, but with such depth. You really feel for that dog. You know, he's waiting for his owner. He's protecting his dreams. You got Buggy, who's having a great freaking time with the buggy bombs. Our first real, you know, other Devil Fruit, you know, antagonist.
Oh, yes. Back in the days when Devil Fruits were still thought to be a legend. Some of them, like Nami and Zoro, didn't even know if they were real or not yet.
Yeah.
Zoro thought he was badass until he cut the man who couldn't be cut.
Yeah.
Or cut too much, if you would.
Yeah.
Fuck, even...
Because let's be real, if Buggy didn't have that cut fruit, oh man, he's dead.
Oh, he'd be dead.
He's dead.
So dead.
He's dead.
But he was a very powerful antagonist at that moment.
And I do love the early connections that eventually get even more built on. I think Orangetown's even better in hindsight because of our understanding of Buggy's relationship with Shanks and through both of their
Buggy's greed for treasure.
His greed for treasure, but right. I mean just
he recognizes the hat.
He recognizes the hat. You see the origins of them being on the Roger Pirates without necessarily being told that they're on the Roger Pirates. It is actually the first time that Silver's Rayleigh is ever drawn, though.
Yep.
Which, that is something that does get paid off so much further along.
Yeah. Why Buggy has a Devil Fruit and Shanks does not.
So, no. Like I said, I put that in Luffy tier just above Romance Dawn for me. I just think it was definitely a good step in the right direction, especially on my early One Piece journey, in just giving me that the emotional kick in the heart that One Piece does to me so often nowadays and even further on in the story.
I'm between S and A.
Okay.
Honestly, I love... Because, God, Shushu... Just the whole Shushu thing makes me want to put an S. But again, I'll defer to A. Brock, do you think A or...
So,
Orangetown.
I think now that we're so far in, I might go more with B.
Okay. So Brook tier?
The reason Brook tier.
Okay.
The reason I think Brook tier is that the arc itself is another arc of beginnings, where we see a lot of those things develop later on, such as Buggy the Clown and Nami, you know, and all these things, as well, and the evolution of Devil Fruits. But it doesn't... And don't get me wrong, I love the Shushu story. It's the first time you get that heartfelt storytelling that we now know Oda is capable of.
So heartfelt.
But at the same time, I'd say compared to other arcs that have built upon that formula and have done it way better, I'd probably put it in the Brook category.
Okay. Now, based on what you think of like all of the other arcs ahead, would you put it high Brook or low Brook? Because that'll kind of determine where we end up, you know, putting putting it
now
on a compromise.
Now, real quick, this is my first tier list.
Mm-hmm.
What is closer to the name? Is that
so
high?
Closer to the name is higher in the tier, and
Okay.
then further from the name is lower in the tier.
I would say currently, I would say mid to high.
Mid to high, Brooke? Okay.
Yeah, mid to high, Brooke.
So, because I'm trying to find a good compromise, because
I'm saying S. Really? I'm really coming down harder on S.
Okay. And then I'm kind of coming on like the top of A currently, obviously. It'll probably end up being more mid-A as we get some of these other arcs in there.
Well,
do you think it's better than Romance Dawn or no?
I do think it's better, well...
Because you said solidly
Yeah.
for Romance Dawn.
Well, honestly, Romance Dawn, I place it there as kind of an ode to what it represents,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
rather than it's standing as an arc, because without the Romance Dawn, we wouldn't have anything else.
Sure.
You know?
It's also kind of the beginning of Roger's story as well.
Yeah, and but I think as an arc, I think I could move Orangetown up to A. I think Orangetown's better than Romance Dawn.
Okay.
Okay.
So
I can put it in front of Romance Dawn.
So I think it just should solidly stay in Luffy tier ahead of Romance Dawn for the time being.
Down for that.
Since you're kind of coming down hard on it being an S, and his initial thought was more Brook tier.
Yeah.
So let's just stick there.
Orangetown, Luffy tier, top of Luffy tier.
Okay. Syrup Village.
Syrup Village. I have thoughts about Syrup Village.
Oh.
Okay. Well, so first off, for me, Syrup Village is going to be one of my first ones that I'm going to put in either Barrieti or Caribou tier, personally. I am going to put it in Caribou until we decide where that happens, where we stand on that, and I want to hear what Alex's thoughts, and I want to hear your thoughts, Brock. My issue with Syrup Village isn't even necessarily Usopp. When I first watched and read One Piece, Usopp was probably my main issue with Syrup Village. I've come so much farther around on Usopp. Obviously, he's a fantastic character, and this is a good beginning for him. Obviously, he got the whole boy who cried wolf vibe that he constantly does all the time, the Pinocchio thing, all these different things that just make him...
He's just a plethora of...
He's just the stereotypes of all these different
He's a walking fairy tale is what he is.
Yes, there he is. And that makes sense, because he's always telling these tall tales that eventually somehow end up becoming true, so, you know. However, I as much as I can understand, and this is just me personally, I can understand why there was this need to have Kaya in his life, and obviously the main reason he is so involved in her life is he identifies with her as somebody who has also lost his parents, with Usopp going off and joining the Red Hair Pirates, and his mom succumbing to illness later afterward. And then her parents are both dead at the time of us meeting her. So I understand his desire to cheer this poor rich girl up. I'm not trying to be so mean about that.
No, it's fine.
But it's the truth.
She's lonely.
She is a lonely poor rich girl with her evil butler Kuro, or Klahadore, as he is called in the anime for the time being.
Yeah.
Third smartest man in East Blue.
Third smartest, yeah. I just found a lot of the stuff with Kuro to be a bit long-winded, if you ask me. And don't get me wrong, there are some great moments in there, but when it comes to these early villains and these early getting the crew arcs, I just feel like sometimes being a little bit quicker on some of these things is better. Just because we're still trying to get this cast of characters together. Once you have the full first 5 Straw Hats, I think that after that you can do long stuff as much as you want, because you have so many characters who are constantly giving their thoughts and opinions on the things that are happening. And that's kind of where I stand. So Usopp's fantastic. Yeah. I just think that the arc could have done a little bit better on pacing, personally.
I'm gonna be brief and be blunt about Syrup Village. I really liked Kuro as a villain. I did not like his crew.
His crew sucks.
I thought his whole thing of getting rid of them and just living out his days on this was awesome. I honestly wanted him to beat the shit out of Usopp a few times, because I was like, you're way better than him. If Luffy and Zoro weren't here, you would have totally done all this stuff. I love you, Kuro. And then they beat the shit out of my guy, and I'm like, that makes sense. He's the villain, but I really liked him.
And it sucks, if I can add to that really quick.
Jump on.
It sucks that the only time we've ever seen him again since was actually a non-canon edition in the anime. Because obviously in the anime you do see him.
He's unhappy on his ship.
He's unhappy on his ship when he sees Luffy's first bounty. That doesn't happen in the manga.
No.
That doesn't happen in the manga, and we've never seen him again.
He is
besides like cover stories and stuff.
He's a really nice representation of someone whose dreams Luffy crushed, which is what he does. He doesn't kill you, but he destroys your dreams, and now you have to live out the rest of your days without those dreams.
Well, if your dreams are shitty and awful,
yeah, no, exactly.
you kind of deserve it.
But again,
I can agree with you on that. I
Kuro was the best part of Syrup Village for me. And that is
that
saying
might
a
have
lot.
been what it was. Is maybe if it was just Kuro doing his stuff, you don't add Django, you don't add all these other assholes.
Django's fine. I like the whole Michael Jackson thing, and he falls asleep. He's a gag character. I enjoy him. But Kuro's cool. They beat him up as necessary. And I'll tell you when I start liking Usopp. But I did not like Usopp. He annoyed me. He annoyed the villagers. I'm like, no one's gonna help you. And then no one did. I'm like, you deserve this. So for me, Syrup Village, outside of Kuro, and like that cool fight between, his fight with Luffy, it's a caribou tier for me, boys.
See, I like that, because
Syrup Village, that's where it stands for.
If I don't have hindsight, obviously, like, Usopp is not a good character at this point.
That's how I'm approaching these two. Like, I'm going to approach each of these as if I just watch it and the rest of the story isn't there.
Okay.
That's how I'm going to try to appreciate each of these arcs by themselves.
I have nothing wrong with that. I will personally try to be more about the story as a whole as of this point, and that's just where I'm coming from.
That's why this is a fun conversation. Brock.
So, Brock, what do you think about Syrup Village?
I would have Syrup Village as a mid-high Buriti. And the reason for that is, once again, you see a lot of firsts here, but it's the first time we truly see, I think, just how impressive some of the Straw Hats are. Because the Buggy fights in the arc was fun, but Buggy himself didn't actually give Luffy that much of a challenge.
No.
Luffy dispatched him pretty easily. The only reason Zoro had a hard time was because he got tricked. He wasn't expecting to run into someone who could avoid being chopped like that. Otherwise, it would have been an easy victory for the Straw Hats, I think. And that's why I really enjoyed the fights with Kuro and the Meow Band brothers, whatever they're called.
Black Cat Pirates.
I really loved Zoro's 2v1 because these guys were all steroid on hypnosis, but like you gotta look at just. I think this arc did a better job of showing just how up there Luffy and Zoro already were themselves, and personally, I really do enjoy Usopp and Kaya's relationship because it's one of the most human relationships in the entire series, I would say. And Usopp's one of the most human characters in the entire series. And I think it was a nice touch to add something so human to help balance out what's already a ship filled with monstrosities. And I think we got to see a couple of things like, say, Luffy's ability to see the best in people.
Yep.
Like, say, Usopp.
Yep.
And Usopp himself, how he's able to stand on his own once he has faith in himself and has people that have faith in him, because throughout, and Oda does a great job of this, where throughout the arc you'll find characters who do things questionably, but there's a reason behind it,
Yeah.
Like in this case, it's out of the hopes that his father will come back and be able to meet him one day. But one of my favorite moments is where at the same time Luffy, headgongs Kuro is when he blasts
Morgan's?
Not Morgan, sorry. No, he blasts Django in the face.
Okay.
I think this one had one of the most well done beginner era crew fights.
Okay.
Crew montages because I think they're all really well timed.
And thinking about it, I think you're absolutely right. Like there is that super fantastic moment. I laugh at it whether it's a spoof version of this episode I'm thinking of, or if it's the main episode / manga chapter of this, where Luffy gets hypnotized by Yonko while he's trying to do it to like the crew, and it ends up hitting Luffy. Then Luffy goes into a mad rage, runs down the slope, scares all the crew, and then rips apart part of the Black Cat.
Right.
That is a fantastic moment. I remember
where the gags really begin with Luffy.
And I remember watching that with my wife for the first time as she had begun her One Piece journey, and just cackling like a madman because I had just forgotten how much fun that was.
You know what? It's not even something you've said, Brock, but you know what? We did get 2 crew members on Syrup Village. We've obviously got Usopp, but we also got the Mayor.
There you go.
And you know what?
You know what?
Because of that, I'm going to put it into Bariti as well.
Yeah.
I'm convinced on Bariti with that.
Brock, your words have moved me.
You have a good point.
And yeah.
Well, and it's also, I just feel like, in my opinion, the beginning arcs where he gets his first crewmates, they're the stages where he's setting up how he does his story.
Yeah.
And I think with each arc, he's enhancing the combat. He's enhancing how the characters interact with each other. Mm-hmm. And I think, to me, Syrup Village was essentially, it enhanced a lot of what we love about Orange Town. I think the reason we didn't like maybe feel as close to, say, Usopp's plight or Kai's plight as we do to Shushu's is because she's basically all by herself, and plus most people like dogs more than humans. Let's be real.
True.
I mean, that's the thing is obviously the non-human characters that Oda gets you to cry over are quite memorable.
But I don't know. I'd say this was our first like full-on crew fight. I think because back in Orange Town it was 1v1s.
Richie and then
but in Syrup, this is our first, finishing off multiple guys at the same time.
Yeah.
And I really like how the fights were done.
Usopp's like getting destroyed and still getting some slingshots in at the end.
Yeah, and
also that just shows how far he did come over the span of the series. Can get his ass beat, but he will still stand up when it comes to the things that are most important.
When it comes down,
it really is his job,
So for now, I would put Syrup Village at high mid Bariti.
Okay. No, you have convinced me. Barriette, it is.
Oh shit!
On to something that I know.
I'll wait till the end.
I was gonna say
because I fucking love this arc.
So here's my thing.
Go off.
And let me finish my statement before I get there. Coming into this initially, like the first thing that comes to my mind is actually not Sanji. It's not anything to do with the restaurant at all.
I know exactly where you're gonna go.
It is Don Krieg that comes to my head, and Don Krieg is one of my least favorite antagonists ever. I cannot stand Barati because of Don Krieg, and like my initial thought is I just want to throw this in Orochi and be done with it, but I know that is irrational because then you do have Sanji and you do have Zeph and you have Mihawk and you have Zoro, and it's the heart. Like, so my complaints about like the Kuro stuff feeling like it took too long, I think the Don Krieg stuff takes too long in my head, and it always ends up being the stuff about this arc that I remember so much. I consistently forget about the fact that Mihawk shows up in this arc all the time, which is so funny to me because I'm such a Zoro guy and a swords guy so I just have to say that. So being realistic and remembering all the actual good stuff about this arc, I have to put it at least high Caribou or low Barriette. Personally.
Okay. Brock, you go off. Baratier.
So...
just so we're clear.
Baratier.
No, I'm saying to differentiate between our tier and our...
Barriette is what I'm calling.
Barriette.
I thought it was Bariti.
Bariti is the tier, and Barati. Barati's going to be the arc.
Yeah.
Go off. Edie and then Barat.
Okay. Anyways... So
I'm gonna hold mine to the.
You're gonna wait. Okay.
I have to because I know I'm gonna way overestimate this arc.
So
If you put this in God Usopp,
I'm not going to put in God Usopp.
Okay.
I'm not an insane person.
Okay.
So,
Go ahead, Brock,
a few
sorry.
things on this. I kind of agree with the assessment that Don Krieg was way overblown.
Mm-hmm.
But when I think of fights, I like to also think of what they represent.
Mm-hmm.
And you see it best in how Zeph eloquently puts it as the man with the grit is the one who will be the hardest to kill, the one who will stand at the top. And you get to see, and I think that's another thing, is like, while the recent arc in Syrup, you got a good look at how a good way that the fights worked, that it was a really good fight.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, you got to see just what makes Luffy a potential for King of the Pirates.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have this man with a weapon's worth of military, an army's worth of military might.
Strongest man in the East Blue, right?
Yep.
That's his whole thing.
That's his whole thing, you know? And you got this man with nothing but his fists and some grit.
And he does with those fists and hands break that armor.
Exactly. He breaks all that military might.
The spiked armor as well, going through that shit. He doesn't care. He's gonna
I
beat
do
this
think
man.
it's one of the coolest. Some of the scenes in this fight are some of the coolest, like, early Luffy scenes,
Okay.
in my opinion, because like when he like breaks the armor and this also where you really get to see him start fighting tactically instead of just instinctually, because he starts aiming for certain parts of the armor over and over again to break it, and then you get the moment where he gets it's one of my favorite finishers. It's when he gets Luffy in the net. And he's like, I got you, Straw Hat. And then he fucking hammers him through the net. And I'm like, oh, you thought you were done. But no, bro. He's still moving. He can stretch, buddy. So there was a lot about the fight I really liked. Honestly, if I were to be honest now that I think about it, it's the lead up to the fight that I find slow. But the fight with the actual fight
that's fair, because you have this long period of time where obviously Luffy has done damage to the restaurant, and he's supposed to be, you know, the new work boy for Zeph, and
For a year, he has to work
he's
for a
breaking more dishes than, you know,
Yeah.
he's actually cleaning,
fucking
and
hazard.
there's all this stuff with like full body, and the crew's like fucking around eating
Yeah.
at the dinner table. And I still love the scene where Luffy puts the booker in Zoro's glass, and it
Yeah.
looks like Zoro
Makes him
doesn't notice. He's like, and this is the one you're like. There's some
Yeah.
fun stuff
Some
in there, but it definitely feels like it's a lot more build up to
Yeah.
that. The Gin stuff, because then Gin comes in, and then Sanji feeds him outside, and then Gin eventually comes back
Yeah.
with Don Krieg, and it's like, why the heck? There was just stuff there.
But no, like, I really enjoyed the actual fight.
Yeah.
You know, when it's like, once, you know, Sanji was done, once Gin was done, once all of them were out of the picture, and it was actually those two, you know, Nami was gone. That's where I actually
that's
enjoyed
right.
it.
Nami.
She heads out.
She heads out at that point.
But
Um,
Zoro's boys are there.
Yeah.
But also,
Well, actually-
a couple other things.
They make the right.
Yosaki and
with
Johnny.
with the
Well, no, I was going to say
Sea
one
cow.
of them was already just stuck there. One of them was on the ship, but I think Nami had knocked him off, because
Yeah.
eventually he comes in the mouth of a fish
Yeah.
later at the end of the arc.
panda fish or some shit. It was
Something
really
like that.
It's like a panda shark.
Yeah.
But
it was weird.
a few more things on that, like the Mihawk fight. I really enjoyed it because it just shows how big the sea is, and it's the first time we see something from Zoro other than what we've seen.
True.
So it's a first for Zoro.
He sees his dream in front of him, and he's like, I need to see how far.
And that's also the first time we see him make an actual oath to his captain.
Yeah, I will never.
It's
lose
a
again.
it's a famous oath that appears.
Proceeds to lose again and suffer.
Bro.
I'm kidding.
And here's the
You
thing.
know what happened? Nothing happened right before that.
And here's the thing: is like that scene is it's relived to this day in flashbacks when it comes to crew scenes.
Yeah.
That's how important that scene is to him and Luffy's relationship, because that's one of his like. You got a problem with that, King of the Pirates? Like, nope, you need to be at least that strong to be my second in command type thing, you know? And then, I have a few more things. On Nami's end, we finally...
Oh, yeah.
It's the first...
That's the first time we see the bounties.
Well, it's not just that. It's the first time an arc has led into another arc so smoothly.
Yeah, it was very seamless.
It was very seamless, and it was like, oh, there's something bigger going on. Why is Nami... Why are you crying? Nami, why are you crying? What's going on? You know, and so you're just like...
Why are you saying, I hope I see you guys again someday? Why not just stay here?
You know, you're like, what the hell's going on? And so you start to see all these facets come together, and you start to see this once again. Here it is in the beginning arcs where Oda just keeps increasing. You know, now we're introducing multiple paths happening at the same time, where while on the original ones it was all on one island. Mm-hmm. You know, and then I honestly, I would say the only person I found truly tedious was Pearl. And that's just because he was so... He was so... here's the thing. Here's the thing.
I was immediately thinking of his name in the One Piece episode instead, which I'm not going to repeat.
And also...
My name's Anthony.
I guess we'll just go over the characters real quick. So, one of the main ones, of course, Sanji. It's his arc to start with. His recruitment arc. I wasn't a fan of him introduced because and this isn't a Sanji thing. This is I generally am not a huge fan of the guy who treats guys like shit and is like overly ivory tower of women type deal from the get-go. But I usually grow on them later because they show more facets of themselves. So that for me, that's thoroughly just a progression thing. Yeah. That's not a anti-Sanji thing.
Interesting.
And then Zeph, you know, our first look at a man who's actually survived the Grand Line, you know, and some of the shit he says, and one of the first people who truly sees Luffy as what he is, along with, I think, Mihawk as well.
You also get the legendary comment where it's like, hey, Luffy, you want my logbook of my journey?
Nope.
You don't? Nope. I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's up, Burke?
Oh, I just wanted to add, just before we get to Alex, because Alex will have a lot more to say. I actually had the reverse problem with you when it came to Sanji. I thoroughly loved him at the beginning. I remember really liking him. And then as time went on, that's when I started not liking him as much. And don't get me wrong, like where we're at currently, he's kind of getting back up there in like my Straw Hat rankings of like our current 10. But yeah, like that's funny that you didn't like him introduced, and I actually really enjoyed him introduced.
Well, and
that's just funny.
And let's be real, and let's be honest. I keep saying this in weird ways.
No worries.
To be honest, it's not so much that I disliked him. It's just certain facets of him that made me like him less.
Kind of those stereotypes or tropes that he was kind of embodying.
Well, it's just how he approached them.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm not a fan of characters who like Playboy characters who completely, let's be real, like at the beginning he was definitely
I've got a whole
Playboy
thing to say,
character.
Brock, so just
But
get all of our thoughts out so he can go off on his boy.
I've got a tangent.
But like, say if I were to reference a Playboy character I truly enjoyed, Tales of Symphonia Zelos Wilder. Now he was like, I don't want to go walking with a dude, but at the same time he'll still treat you like best buds because you hang out, you know. And I like that as opposed to the outwardly aggressive to men because he's not interested in men type thing. And like I said, progressively it gets better to me. And then, but I do think I liked Sanji's joining more than the last three. I liked the way he joined the Straw Hats. You know, the whole
as opposed to Usopp and Zoro.
As opposed to Usopp and Zoro, yeah.
Really?
So last two,
Okay.
because I really enjoyed the tearful reunion where he and Zeph finally, you know, unleash some of their true feelings. You know, like finally you're honest with each other type thing, and you see a bit more of that bond
Well,
that they
that's
share.
kind of that first time you get that trope where Oda's always like, or not necessarily Oda, like sometimes it's the narrator, sometimes it's, you know, Oden saying it later on in the Wano flashback, but where they keep on saying like, man's departure should be without tears. Like literally every single one of them's crying.
And I truly did appreciate and enjoy that they decided to break that trope, because the moment Sanji unveiled his true feelings, it became a dam for all the others. Like,
just broke.
Well, shit.
Yeah.
So much for being manly men, and I think that was the first
That's fair.
arc end. I think that was the first arc end that really.
Just so we're not keeping Alex from, so we don't make him explode here waiting. Would you put Baratier above Syrup Village, or below Syrup Village?
I'd put it above.
Because you've at least convinced me, reminding me even just of that final thing with Sanji, that I'm definitely going to put it above Syrup Village. I would even almost put it in low Brook.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. I keep it in Brook.
Okay.
Because I think it has a lot of bigger world elements that really make it worth it.
And like I said, I know my stuff at the beginning was irrational, because it's just Krieg is such a...
Oh, he's a jackass. He's a jackass.
It's just such a hassle for me personally.
he's such a jackass.
That he always ends up just lessening all of my memories of the other fantastic stuff.
That's kind of what happens with loud, overblown characters, because he's essentially a big ass.
Just you wait until we get to Drum.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Anyway, Alex,
go off.
Okay. Baratier is my boy's arc. We've talked about him at length. There's 5 really special moments for me with Sanji specifically. There's other moments that I love.
Okay.
But first and foremost, I would say that this is the most chivalrous early Sanji that Oda ever wrote him. He got more perverted as the series went on, but I'm not looking at that. I'm just saying he was incredibly chivalrous. So, 5 moments. He protects a lady's honor. He protects his restaurant. He feeds a man who's starving regardless of pay. He shows respect to owner Zeph through everything. Don't forget his backstory with Zeph. And finally, he jumps in and saves Luffy, this random kid who's been bothering him this whole fucking time, to save him just because he believes in him. And that's solidified. Plus his jazz music theme. Oh, fuck do I love his theme. And it's just all throughout, Baratier. That solidifies Sanji as an amazing crew member, a great cook, and the cook of the Pirate King. Like, this is Sanji at his earliest and best moments in the series. We'll talk about other ones, but that's that. Next up, Mihawk. Fuck, he cuts a giant-ass ship. The strongest ship in the East Blue, this huge fucking dude. He just
huge galleon.
I'm just gonna go ahead and cut that. Zoro fight. That entire moment with Luffy, absolutely.
Can we talk about, before any of that, let's talk about Mihawk's fucking entrance, just
100%.
in a little fucking canoe with candles around him.
One boat just going.
Some Dracula-looking motherfucker.
Dracula Mihawk.
Yeah, Luffy's fight's great. I actually love all the stuff leading up to the fight. Zeph's fucking hat. Zeph's tall ass. There's no reason. No one's mentioning it. It's just a fucking huge ass hat. Hello.
That's true.
No, Zeph's design is treated so naturally, so you forget. It's awesome because because Oda, he does a great job of making these weird designs, but since everybody treats it so naturally, it's okay, I guess we're not talking about that.
I love all the cooks in the kitchen. They're so go and do what you want. You can't stay here, bastard. And then it's just they're crying as he leaves. It's just such an excellent exit for Sanji and such a beautiful beginning for him. So no, Baratier, in my personal opinion, is a Roger tier arc. I will come down to A or B, but no lower than B.
So Brook tier is good?
I'd like him in A, but I'll accept Brook tier.
Because I was going to say, I can't quite put it in Luffy tier, even with Brock's convincing that he's done on me. I can stand for, even if we get to the end of the list, I can stand for almost top of Brook. I cannot quite put it in Luffy tier.
I know I have to make some concessions here, because I am incredibly biased with my boy.
But you brought up a lot of good points.
Hey, to be fair, you guys brought it up 2 places from my original placement of Caribou.
So yeah, Brook, definitely high Brook.
Yeah, I keep it in Brook.
Okay.
Can I start Arlong Park, please?
Oh,
just because I waited for Baratier.
True.
Okay?
I'm not going to be very long about this.
Actually, and that's fair because I probably have the most to say, and this is...
Exactly. So I think we should definitely... If someone has the most to say, they're at the very end just to wrap up all the other
And
stuff.
just so everybody is aware, we are aware, this is going to be a very long episode.
Might be multiple parts. I don't know.
Might be multiple parts. We'll see.
So I'll start. Arlong Park is...
Hawk!
Welcome to Arlong Park.
Peta Paka.
Here's the thing. Arlong Park has the walk-up. It has the legendary Luffy, Sanji,
Look there.
Zoro,
Those men will change
Usopp,
the world.
That dun 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 dun
Overtaken.
dun. Like, oh my god. Okay, that walk-up is legendary.
One of the best uses of Overtaken.
And holy shit. Like, it is just a legendary arc with a legendary opponent, Arlong, and his fucking new fishmen, or what
It was just the Fishman.
the Fishman Pirates, man. They're a bunch of bastards. They're oppressing humans because they've been oppressed. It has a lot of really solid themes throughout about all this shit and history, and Luffy doesn't care about a single thing about it. He just beats the shit out of this guy. The Marines are in there. Fuck them, that mousy bastard. They get their fucking wanted poster. Luffy does, at least. And Usopp's in it too, which is just great. Look, it's a legendary arc. To me, Arlong Park is where everything started really fucking rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And an arc like that deserves God Usopp tier, in my personal opinion. Brock.
So, now the walk is a fantastic moment, but it also brings to light so many other things. And let's start with the differences in like actual thinking, differing races, species of creatures.
Not just humans here.
I was like, oh, there's racism in this world. Things just got a bit deeper, you know. And also, quick shout out to 4Kids dubs with Arlong loving to call people humans because they stink.
Oh,
And I just remember rolling my eyes so much of that. But anyways, I would say not just the walk, but and once again, that's another growth for Luffy because
hugely.
You get the part where he doesn't even bother to listen to her sob story. Because he's like, if she wants my help, she's going to get it.
Puts his hat on her
And that
head.
moment when she's stabbing herself is like, whoa, what's going on?
Oh.
And she finally admits that she needs help. That moment is one of my most looked back on moments in One Piece.
All of Nami's backstory. Everything she's been doing for this fucking guy.
Oh, no. And also you see a new side to Nami, or like...
100%. You might hate Nami at this point because she betrayed the crew, just stole their shit, right?
Well, and she seemed to be all about money, but now there's a reason for her money.
Really
money
fucking good reason.
From, you know? And that's what I love is that Nami, who originally was like, oh, what a bitch.
Right.
But now it's like, oh... You've been through some shit.
You've
been through some shit.
You lost your mom, your entire season.
But like
press,
that whole scene of just Nami trying to say, "I'll work back," trying to tearfully and desperately.
God,
this is probably the first time I legit like teared up in a series.
it's shoo on crack, man.
I like because you get this moment where she's just like helpless. She's like, everything I worked for these last 10 years is gonna die.
And the person she least expected to help her doesn't even want to hear it. He'll go and do it.
And yeah, and the moment when she looks back and she says, "Tasukete, help me," it's just like, finally.
Breaks your heart.
Finally, this is, and we get that similar energy in, later on in Eddie's lobby and even further on in the whole cake and to an extent.
Sure.
But it's an energy that we never get tired of. It's the energy of someone realizing that they don't have to be alone. And then you start to really even see even more just what kind of captain Luffy is, and the fact that his crew is right there without a word, just like, let's do it.
Yep.
And then also, this was, I think, our first full-on just... Now that Luffy has a full crew, at that point, we finally get a full crew v crew type fight.
Oh yeah.
Even Usopp got a fight, and he won
with a fuck. Yeah.
That was
so.
I really enjoyed it because I think this was the first time we got kind of a full look.
I respect Usopp in that
at
fight.
each character's capabilities to like an extent to this extent. So let's starting with Usopp.
In the Fishman's advantage area.
Exactly.
A lot of it was water-based.
Exactly.
And Zoro just got cut up the fuck by Mihawk.
Exactly. But start with Usopp. He's already normal by human standards. He's a normal human, except he's really good at shooting. You're right, and he won with his tricks and living up to what he was based on, which are fairy tales and tricksters.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was like, and I loved that they still kept him human, where he was like, I gotta run away and I'll make my excuses.
Yeah.
And it was like, they trust me,
Mm-hmm.
And you start to see this cohesion truly form between the crew, and then you get to finally see Sanji when someone's not being held hostage against him,
right.
And he's holding his own underwater. Obviously, he's having a hard time because he's underwater. He's trying to save Luffy.
Shit, yeah. They're already 10 times stronger normally.
He's showing his shit, and then but then the moment the cry fishing gets above water, he just fucking wails on him and destroys him in no time flat. So we get a good look at Sanji's output at that point, because fishermen are supposed to be completely superior.
Oh yeah.
And then, this isn't just because Zoro is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
I truly think he has one of the most impressive fights in the whole beginning area because of his fight with Hachi.
Hachi, man.
Because he's got a really bad fever from the looks of it. He's got, even Arlong's like, I gotta kill this man.
How is this guy?
How is he alive? Even Arlong was starting to feel a little trembling of a very human fear. And that just was like, the intensity, he's like, those aren't the eyes of a dying man. And that's where you really, really get that, oh my god.
Yeah.
Zoro, you're a monster.
It also shows us that, like, in this anime, damage is accumulated. It doesn't
It
just
is.
heal between arcs. Like,
Exactly. And then, finally, and this will be my last thing before I let Burke go on it.
Yeah.
Before we let Burke loose. It's the first serious fight, I would say, where it shows Oda really being able to balance the comedic timing and the serious moments. Like, Luffy was like, what makes fishmen stronger than humans? He's like, is it their teeth? Is it their noses? Is it their... He just named all this shit, and they're like, is he serious?
When Arlong is like, huh? And he just punches him into the fucking wall out of nowhere in the beginning of the fight. Like, excuse me?
And just like... And then finally, the last moment is just the moment where...
Stamp?
That's not that. It's pre that. It's where he says... He refers to Nami as a thing to be used. And Luffy just breaks his sword with his bare hands. Did you say use, motherfucker?
Yeah.
And you see in that glare how far he will go for his crying crewmate. And also the first thing he says when he enters Allen Park is, you made my navigator cry. I'm gonna fuck you up. And I would agree. I think it's God Usopp tier.
Absolutely.
So that's where I stand.
Burke,
go off.
We let you out.
So if I haven't said it before, and I mean, you both know this at this point, but if I haven't said it before on the record, I was a Naruto fanboy through and through for the longest time. Naruto was my end-all be-all when it came to anime. I didn't want to get involved in anything remotely that long ever again.
Yeah, you were really
I was adamant about never touching it, and I was, back. It was always the meme back in like when we were in high school was, which is better, pirates or ninjas? I was on that ninja hype train so hard. I was just like, pirates.
Cody, don't you ever say that word.
Pirates are freaking lame. The only good pirate thing was Pirates of the Caribbean 1. That was it. Black Pearl, Curse of the Black Pearl was the best pirate thing we had. And then, I meet Brock in college. Brock tells me about One Piece. I'd heard of One Piece. I'd watched One Piece. I at least, enjoyed the comedy about it. And I could at least kind of get the story. Oh, he's a rubber kid. And, there's a swords guy who's got green for hair. And, that's kind of cool, but whatever.
Not ninjas.
They're not ninjas. They don't have fucking jutsu. They don't got nine-tailed foxes inside of them. No! Fuck that! Anyway, but so Brock tells me about this little thing called One Piece. And he tells me, no, you should really try it out. You should really try it out sometime. And
I essentially force you to come home and watch
no,
it.
so let me get there. Let me get there. And I'm just hesitant over here. I'm hesitant. Oh, God, it's so fucking long. It's always the thing. You see the memes. Once you are in One Piece, it is always the excuse everyone uses. It is too long.
Yep.
Anyway, Brock, as I like to say it, kidnapped me, took me to his house, locked me in his basement, made me watch about... I don't remember actually how many episodes it was. I always feel like it's only like 30 episodes from, beginning to starts of Arlong Park. It's probably a little bit more if you're being honest about it. If you want to double check that for me, Alex, be my guess.
I'm not going to.
Okay. Well, you got on your phone, so I didn't know. But then... And I'm enjoying it. I'm finding the slapstick quite funny, and there's those moments, like I said, in Syrup Village, Luffy tears off the keel of the freaking Black Cat pirates, and there's some fun stuff in Baratier, and like Mihawk's pretty cool, and there's a pretty cool moment there with Zoro, but I'm just still not quite getting it, But then Nami steals the ship, and Nami's going off and doing stuff, and I look over at Brock and I'm like, man, she's fucked. What the fuck is wrong with her? What kind of stupid bitch is that? Like, literally, I was probably like my wife when it came to Nami at the beginning. I was just like...
Arlong Park is episodes 31 to 44.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right on the money.
So 30 episodes in, I'm still not really getting it. Episode 31 starts, and we start moving into this. And, I'm just still over here like, yeah, Nami's a fucking bitch. Like, I thought people liked Nami. I thought Nami was supposed to be cool based on what I've heard of this. Then we start Arlong Park. And we get first off, our first, like, hints of, like, what racism is in this world. And we start getting our first hints of what it is to really lose someone you love to something. And mind you, it wasn't even somebody who was related to Nami.
Yeah.
This is somebody who adopted her out of the goodness of her heart, her and Nojiko, and was doing her best to make ends meet, to make sure she could take care of these little girls.
Yeah.
And all of that starts to go fucking south when here come the Fishman Pirates. Here comes Arlong. And I will thank God every day that my first One Piece experience was not the 4Kids dub of One Piece.
Yeah.
Because when I saw what they did to the scene where Bellemere dies, I literally wanted to go and burn down 4Kids Entertainment myself.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, but when you cover up the death of someone who is so influential in this character's life with, you're going to prison for a really, really long time, humans.
Praise it, boy, praise it.
Ugh. I'm sorry, but that's just unforgivable.
It is.
Artistic integrity is one of my biggest things when it comes to translating anything.
Most people agree the 4Kids stuff is all that.
Anyway, so that all of a sudden gives me this huge insight into Nami. I'm already crying because of that, so I'm starting to get it a little bit more here.
Yeah.
God, sorry.
You get this.
It's emotional.
And so then all of Nami's plans start to fall apart. All of this stuff that she's worked for, that you start to realize what she's been doing, starts to fall apart. And she comes back to the main village, and she's just trying to keep the villagers from going and essentially dying to get their freedom back, because her whole thing has been her trying to keep them from dying this entire time. And they say, enough is enough. You've been putting your life on the line for us. It's time for us to put our life on the line for you. And of course that breaks her, because she at this point just believes they're all dead. They're all going to die. There's no way out of this. I am trapped. I am trapped in the very nightmare I have been avoiding for the last
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
And she breaks down. She picks up the knife and she starts stabbing that god-awful tattoo that is a reminder of how she feels she can never escape. Here comes fucking Monkey D. Luffy. And even with her throwing dirt at him and telling him to go away, everything was fine until you got involved. No, it wasn't. It was always going to end this way, Nami. At some point, it was always going to end this way. and just ask. Just reach out and ask. And I'm going to give out 2 shout-outs. First shout-out here to Akemi Akamura, the voice actress of Nami. Mm. Because the way she says Tuskate will always get me. And the way they animated her looking back with tears in her eyes after Luffy's already put a straw hat on her. And the way Mayumi Tanaka screams out, "Of course!" And you zoom out, and the whole crew has been there this entire time, just waiting for the order. And they march. And they go to Arlong Park. And you have that legendary moment that we've already mentioned where Johnny and Yosaku point out and say, "Those men, right there, those are the men that are going to change the world." I start getting it. That's where it's really, really getting to that point.
Yeah.
Luffy breaks down the gate. He punches Arlong. Everything starts going the way we've talked about. Yada yada. We get to the final fight. He breaks the sword. He does that awesome Gomu Gomu no stamp into Arlong's face. Crushes Arlong Park. And Mayumi Tanaka gets one more amazing moment. And this is the moment that One Piece clicked for me. And it was, "Nami! You are my Nakama!" And you just see the absolute lengths that Monkey D. Luffy will go to for the people he cares about. And it's fucking amazing. And Naruto was nothing like that. And in 30 to 45 episodes of One Piece, I felt so much more for these 5 characters than I had ever felt for any of the members of the Hidden Leaf Village. And that's saying something.
Yeah.
That is saying something. I still love the characters in Naruto, but I cannot, in good faith, ever say that Naruto even compares to the genius that is that. Now, this is the only thing that's going to be controversial for me, and this is just because I know all the stuff that comes after this. Both of you say God Usopp tier. I am just going to have to slightly disagree and say Roger tier for me. But it is still fantastic. It is definitely S to S plus tier. I can agree with why you would say S plus. I just have to put it in S just because of some of the things that come later. But this is a fan-fucking-tastic arc that gets you just... Everybody always tells you that if you cannot make it past Arlong Park, you're never gonna like One Piece. Right. That is at this point, that is the gauntlet that you have to go through. And if you get to the end of Arlong Park and you still don't like One Piece, that's fine.
You're probably a psychopath.
You're probably a psychopath, but it's fine.
You're probably going to hell, but that's fine.
Going to my hell,
but it's fine.
What can I ask? What makes it not S plus for you?
I think he's considering future arcs.
I'm considering future arcs. Okay. And that's my thing.
Can we compromise to probably low S plus then?
Well, so here's my thing, and I didn't reiterate this very well at the beginning. With S plus and S, I want to do only 5 arcs for each of those tiers, and then everything else will kind of be whatever the hell mishmash we end up doing.
And for now, we put in S plus.
I can
move it later.
I think since majority said S plus, let's put it there for now.
Let's put it there for now. We'll do some cleanup there.
That one
because I absolutely understand why it's an S plus, and based on my reaction, I ought to. Yeah. You would think I would put it in S plus.
Like, look, I loved Baratier, but I had to get to Arlong Park before I was like, I'm gonna watch all of this.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's.
And I was in a One Piece campaign, and I was like. Yeah, but, I know enough.
That's always the fascinating thing about your One Piece journey is you were already in a D&D campaign based on it.
And I was watching to catch up, so I knew what was going on in the world. But once I got to Arlong Park, it's like, well, I don't care if I'm in the campaign or not. I need to see where this fucking goes.
Yeah, actually.
And there's so much.
Suspending all my campaign appearances because I got to catch up, guys. Sorry. Hope you understand.
No, I still remember it had been, I think, a little bit after that. Because I remember, I think we watched the walk together. Mm-hmm. I know you were like...
You were present for You're My Nakama.
Yeah, I was present for...
I don't remember how soon after that I let loose and...
I think it was basically by the end of Arlong Park, you went off on your own.
Well, you knew you got him by that point.
I didn't know shit.
I
don't know people's taste.
So if I remember correctly, and sorry that we're going off on this tangent, you and I would... so I did a Logtown by myself, Whiskey Peak, I think, by myself. You and I watched Little Garden and some of Drum... And then I think the moment that you were really proud of me was I watched all of Alabasta.
Oh, you fucking destroyed Alabasta.
In a single day.
You destroyed
in a single day.
Little context for me is I got back into One Piece during high school, and at that point it was
that had to have been like Punk Hazard or
it was either Punk Hazard. It was either Punk Hazard or Dressrosa. But either way, at that point, it was either in Punk Hazard or Dressrosa. And across like 4 or 5 days, I watched from the first episode to Punk Hazard or Dressrosa. And there was a lot of Mountain Dew consumed across those few days. It'll never happen again. I don't think I could ever do that again.
No,
I'm getting older as we go.
That sounds impossible now.
But I did that, and... I still remember texting Burke after a bit, and I was like, so Burke, I have to ask, because I wasn't expecting such a definite response. It was like, what do you prefer, One Piece or Naruto? He's like, One Piece hands down. I'm like, really? Like, yeah, it was like, because I didn't realize how much Arlong Park had changed his viewpoint.
Yeah, and it's like, you don't know that until you have a moment like this where I'm breaking down talking about it on a podcast.
Yeah.
Like, or being able to just like absolutely verbalize why Arlong Park affects me so much.
Yeah. So for
even
now,
to this day.
For now, we'll make a God Usopp, and then as we look at...
We'll look at that one when
as we go across future ones, if we feel like something beats it, then...
Cool. Let's talk about Logtown.
Logtown?
The death and beginning of Goldie Roger.
Goldie Roger.
The end and the beginning.
Yes, the town of beginnings, right?
Yeah.
You got Dragon in there, right? You got Buggy's whole thing.
You got Smoker. You meet Smoker for the first time. Right. Tashigi gives Zoro...
Oh, Zoro gets his swords, right? He replaces his broken swords.
Zoro gets Sunday Kitetsu.
And the one that dies in at the end
Yubarashi, I want to say.
Yubashiri.
Yubashiri, yep. He gets his swords. Nami goes shopping. Usopp tags along.
Sanji gets in a cooking contest.
The cooking contest?
That's in the anime.
In the anime, yeah.
I'm trying to keep this as manga only as we can.
I mean, Logtown's cool.
Like, they all go shopping.
Logtown's fun.
The whole bar scene. Hey, kid, you want a drink? I only want orange juice. Like, that whole conversation's fun. It's a fun arc.
It's a fun arc.
Luffy's gonna die. That's probably the most crazy bit of it. Like, you're like, are we killing... What the...
Here's my thing.
Let's go one at a time. Let's start with...
I don't know if this is as heavy hitting, but go on.
Well, that's the thing. So, like, after coming off the absolute Everest-sized mountaintop that is freaking Arlong Park, you come into Logtown, and it's just kind of tame.
It's really relaxing.
And I'm not going to say, like, oh, it's in Caribou or Orochi tier for me. It's just, like, how...
I don't want to say forgettable. Like, I don't think it's Barisi.
It's not forgettable.
I don't think it's Luffy tier, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would say definitely it's got to be, like, top of Brook, maybe.
I'd say second to Baratie tier.
I could go either way on its placing there just because, like, so, first off, I do like that we kind of subvert, like, a lot of the Marines up to this point have been just, like, absolute jerks or just meh people.
Right. Yeah. Morgan sucked.
Kobe
was probably the cutest
fucking
Marine.
Mouse Whiskers Nezumi, I want to say.
He sucked.
He absolutely sucked.
We finally meet a good Marine.
But we finally meet a good Marine, and it's funny because he comes across as just the absolute meanest Marine you've ever met. And then, this little girl comes up and she spills her ice cream. Yeah. And he looks like he's absolutely going to destroy her for running into him. And he says, I'm sorry my pants ate your ice cream. Here's some money to go get yourself another
Get a triple stack this time.
Yeah, get a triple stack this time.
Yeah.
Like, fucking love that shit. And I had to, like, kind of remind my wife of that because so we were just in Punk Hazard and she's like, Smoker kind of sucks. She's like, he's a fucking Marine. Fuck Marines. And I'm just like... do you not remember that Smoker's like a good Marine, babe? Come on, like, think of this.
I mean, to be fair,
Marines suck.
Well, in Punk Hazard, he is part of the worst Marines ever that do terrible things to pirates because
but the G5 aren't that bad.
Well, but they're set up to be like the worst of the worst, degrading.
No, and trust me, in the manga, they're straight up burning those guys.
Yeah, like,
as opposed to the anime, they kind of like, oh, we're gonna do it. Don't make us do it.
Like that little girl wasn't a pirate, so it's all good. Yeah, no. You know.
But so it was a nice subversion of like, oh, all Marines are just automatically dicks to even, the civilians that they protect. So it was just nice. I honestly do like Tashigi. I do like her stuff with Zoro.
That's very funny.
It's so interesting, and it's a nice payoff, and I realized it in Punk Hazard, which we'll save that for Punk Hazard's actual thing. But I like that she gets the absolute wrong impression from Zoro just because he spares her. And it's like...
She makes him a Marine for a short period of time, right? Yeah. He has to mop up. He becomes a mop boy. Right. And he's 3
I want to say that was
styling.
I want to say that was anime, but it might have also just been manga stuff, too.
Just,
either way, it's
memorable.
Great. It's memorable. It's fun stuff.
All because she dropped her glasses.
So go ahead, Brock. Yeah, I don't have much else to say. Dragon and the buggy stuff is fun.
I would place it high Brook, low Luffy. The reason I place him there is because this is the first time.
I'm preemptively putting it top of Brook right now. Depending on what Alex says.
This is the first time we've seen that aura that only people like Luffy can have. Mm-hmm. This is the first time he was legitimately compared to Goldie Roger. Mm. I remember, this is one of those arcs that would be like, oh my god. I got so excited through this arc because the comparisons in the build-up was just like, it was like, he's smiling. And it was like, he's smiling at death. Mm-hmm. And like that big fucking smile Luffy shows when he's about to be decapitated.
Yeah.
And you're just like...
What do you say? Sorry, guys?
Guys, I'm done.
I think I'm dead.
I think I'm dead.
That's all he said, just, I'm dead. Which was like...
Yeah. You first of all, you see the cojones on this motherfucker, And second off, you see the effect he has on the first like legit Marine we run into. Where he's like, there's only one man who smiled up there this entire time. That was Goldie Roger.
Yeah.
And it was like, you start seeing shit happen like this. It's like everything's trying to make it so this man survives.
It parallels Marineford too because of the whole scaffolding situation.
Absolutely.
It's just the first time you truly see that there is something
about Luffy.
And why is the most wanted man in the world protecting Monkey D. Luffy?
We don't know it's his father. We don't know any of that shit. It's just this random dude blew through.
Spoilers, dude. Wait for later in the podcast.
Sorry, we have to get to where fucking Water 7 for that. Actually, post Enies lobby. Yeah.
But,
that's your fucking dad, Luffy.
And then also...
I wasn't supposed to say that.
I would say rather than just fun moments, it was filled with a lot of interestingly epic moments for this kind of arc, for a town arc like this.
First Logi
user? Well, for one, there's first Logi user, but all of Luffy's moments. Also, once again, his little comedic moments during, like, please don't kill me, I'm sorry for what I did. That doesn't help! That little back and forth there.
Buggy, I want revenge!
And then, but also, the sword shop, when Zoro gets the cursed sword.
Yeah, well, let's see.
Or he was just like, my luck or my arm, let's see what happens. And his luck won. And you're like, Jesus Christ, these guys were intense.
Yeah, really bad.
And it's just like, I love that even in these casual moments, Oda didn't skimp on what makes them so fucking cool. Mm. And I think this was a really good way to, in a way, prep them for Reverse Mountain. Mm. Prep them for the Grand Line. It's to show just where they lie. One man, he will literally smile as big as he can, as wide in the face of death. Yeah. One man, if fate takes his arm, that's his own fault for being weak.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the kind of mindset you need for the Grand Line. You can't be like, oh, blame my problems on everything else.
Yeah.
And I think I think Lowtown did a really good job at setting them up for the Grand Line, and that's why I say low Luffy, high Brook.
Okay. I'm fine with it being top of Brook tier.
So over Baratier?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, personally, no, but as a group, yes. That's a good consensus.
Yeah.
Because I fucking love
I think that's
fair.
I think So are we moving on to Reverse Mountain?
We're all happy with
We're good with High Brook Tier for Logtown?
Yes.
Cool.
Nothing prepares you for Reverse Mountain. You see this shit and you're like, what the fuck?
Alrighty, I'm putting Reverse Mountain in Brook Tier for obvious reasons.
And those obvious reasons are?
Brook Tier.
On the boom.
Obviously we can move it, but anyway. Nothing really, yeah, you are correct. Nothing really prepares you for...
You're like, what the fuck is this place?
Like, you're already weirded out by, like, all the different powers and, like... But the
this
islands,
is called the red line and the water goes backwards.
The islands in the East Blue are just normal islands that you know of at this point.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden we hit Reverse Mountain, and depending on if you watched the anime before this, you at least got the understanding of the Calm Belt and why Reverse Mountain is the only way into the Grand Line that's safe unless you're a Marine.
Like, Oda's like, oh, you thought you understood my world? Fuck you, Reverse Mountain!
You thought that physics applied in my world? Fuck no.
Fucking
Time to leave the gentle sea, baby.
So, yeah. It's a fun ride up the mountain, and then you come on down into the Grand Line, and you meet this giant, monstro-sized whale.
Like, it's still really big.
Yeah.
So big, and you break the Mary's neck off, and it's just like,
my special
holy shit, you just broke my ship. And then when Luffy beats the shit out of that whale, he has it. Come. I'm just kidding.
They get inside. They meet their first member of the Roger Pirates outside of Buggy.
They meet Crocus.
Blubbers, back to the menu, boys.
you meet the Miss
Wednesday and Mr. Nine.
Mr. Nine.
Yes.
Bat Boy.
God, those two annoyed me so much.
I hated them.
I hate it.
It's actually why I put Reverse Mountain a little bit lower. I love Laboon, but I hated them.
Yeah. That's fair.
I'd say that Reverse Mountain is a Baritzi tier for me.
Okay.
Like, it's not the worst, but it is a little bit forgettable.
I would put it top tier Bariti, because I loved Laboon. I loved Laboon's moments.
I love Laboon.
And I loved our first little glimpse of someone who actually knew Goldie Roger.
Also, I think that the introduction of the log poses is super fun. It's such a cool concept.
After Reverse Mountain, you're like, and this is what the fuck?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's a really good transition arc.
Yeah.
But that's mainly what it is.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have a lot of huge moments. Granted, you can give it hindsight and say, but it connects really further along to Brook.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we'll talk about that.
But that's for later. But for now...
That was the only thing I was doing. I was meaning really hard on the fact that we have a Brook tier and Reverse Mountain should be in Brook tier.
So, but yeah, I put high Bariti.
Okay.
What do you think, Bert?
Like I said, I was going to put either like low Brook, high Bariti is probably a good compromise there.
I like it more than Syrup Village.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
No,
just for Luffy's art.
Yes. Well, and also it's just fun that he has now he's making this depressed whale want to live longer.
You can't kill yourself.
You can't kill yourself until I come back and beat you the shit up.
Yeah, exactly.
we have to refight.
It was also a nice look at how Luffy negotiated. Also, just how his mind works. He was like, "These guys might not come back, but
when it does work, how it works."
Exactly.
Cool. Whiskey Peak.
I only have negative things that I feel towards
the
Whiskey
Island
Peak.
of Bounty Hunters.
I have a lot of negative thoughts on Whiskey Peak personally.
And you go first.
You want to know my two... I'll tell you my two redeeming things for Whiskey Peak.
Well, that's the thing.
Fucking love that, dude.
Is the true introduction of Vivi and Igaram are absolutely fantastic things.
Oh, and Zoro wasting everybody.
Yeah, sure. But so here's where...
So fucking dope.
So here's where my negative thing, and I've talked about this so many times, and I will die on this hill to the end of my days now, because it is one of the few times that no matter how many times Brock and I specifically have argued about this, I cannot forgive this almost out of character, to me, thing from Luffy where Zoro's wasting all these guys, and yes, it's awesome, and I love it, and it gets like absolutely shot down because Luffy wakes up and he's like, Zoro, I'm gonna fucking kill you because you're beating up all these people who gave us food. And it's just like, it's one of those few times that, and like I said, Brock has his reasons that he wants to tell me that I'm wrong on this, but it's one of those things where I'm just like, I cannot stand for this, Luffy. You've known Zoro long enough at this point. You should trust that his instincts aren't this far wrong.
I like their fight.
It's funny. Don't get me wrong. I think it is absolutely.
And when they both turn on the two agents that are trying to kill them,
that's funny. It's funny as hell.
That's just what I remember.
It's just one of those things that I think is just needless.
Sure, I think it's forgivable. That's me. Right?
So all I gotta say is that's an easy. I feel like we're never gonna actually end up using the Orochi tier.
We will.
You sure?
Oh, 100%.
I don't think we'll actually be able to agree that something belongs in Orochi tier.
100% we will.
Okay, well I'm putting in Orochi for now because eventually it'll probably end up in Caribou.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I meant Caribou for it.
I put it. I would put it. I was actually a Brook guy for it.
You're a what?
I'm a Brook guy.
He thinks it's in Brook tier. Like I said, Igara, Vivi, fantastic. And obviously the crew is acting like themselves. I have nothing wrong with that.
You know what I like? It's nice for power scaling. That's the only thing that I really enjoy about the Luffy.
Yeah, but you're a power scaler.
I know. Well,
so
damn, it's valid.
There's a couple things I like about it.
Zoro versus Fisk.
First of all, obviously the Zoro fight is prime. It's a prime.
Oh, he's a monster.
He toys with these fucking bounty hunters.
Just
for the sake of any viewers, just for the sake of any viewers, my stance on Luffy's reaction is that it is actually natural for him because Luffy, I think he takes a lot of pride in treating those who treat them as they should, equally, as they should be treated. And I think if one of his crewmates were... And here's the thing. I don't think he was actually going to kill Zoro. I think it was more about, like, dude, what the fuck? And I think he wanted to beat the shit out of him for doing something like that to innocent people, as far as he knew.
Yeah.
And also, at this point, he and Zoro... They didn't actually know each other for that long. They'd just been through a few arcs together.
He's the least deep character on the crew at the moment.
And also,
he was just up on a
Here's
cross.
the thing, Luffy. Here's the thing. He's a rusher at this point. He doesn't. We don't really see him to really start thinking like ahead that much until post time skip.
He'd eaten so much food.
But he's also just woken up. The first thing
the
first thing he sees are the people who had been partying with them the night before. He's like, your guy, he just fucked us up type thing.
Yeah,
so,
This is the only time I actually do prefer the dub of the Four Kids dub specifically. You know what clip I'm talking about. Where it's like, Luffy, how you doing, buddy? Get it! Luffy!
Yeah, I absolutely love that dub.
That is prime meme material there. Anyway.
100%.
But
maybe I'll...
But then, you know...
I was going to say if we want
I'll see if I can.
But I really enjoyed just about everything there. And I loved how it was their first true island in the Grand Line. You know, it was shrouded in mystery, and that freaking close up on Cactus Peaks where they were gravestones.
Oh, I know.
And you're just like, what the fuck did we just walk into?
The fucking moon. Zoro's got his fucking,
and Zoro's like, oh, you guys want to fight? Let's fucking fight.
Oh, yeah.
And then like,
they're so
and
scared
then
of
also
him.
the fucking just the lead up to something so much bigger.
Yeah.
Which is Princess Vivi and Crocodile.
But we gotta leave that for Alabasta.
Well, I know, but but Crocodile was mentioned.
Sure.
Because
Mr. Zero was mentioned.
No, remember, they told him his real name.
God damn it, yeah, that's...
Remember, they mentioned his real name. They're like, shit, now he's targeting us.
Oh, you're right, they did it.
They told his real name.
That alone just made it go up to Caribou for sure for me, and then we'll get it.
And it's just like, he's a warlord of the sea, and I'm like... We're doing what now? Ain't this?
Is it me?
Is it me, Warlord of the Sea?
Shit.
How big we going here? Yeah. And they're like, this world...
We just got here.
This world just got super big just now. Yeah. What the fuck?
It was already pretty big after the first bounty, but then, you know...
Now it's just like, we're going against world level organizations at this point, and we just entered the Grand Line. And, you know, but as a testament to Luffy and Zoro's strength, they fucked up Mr. 5 and whatever her name was. What was her name? Mrs.
Valentine's Day?
Valentine's Day,
Valentine's Day?
They fucked
Miss
him up.
Valentine?
And it was really enjoyable, too.
She floated with an umbrella.
Is that what she was?
I
You can check it out.
I'm going to check that one
That
out
or-
really quick.
I thought it was Miss Valentine.
I think it was
I'll look it up. You keep talking, guys.
But it was nice because you first see them kind of just fucking up the other broke agents who failed.
Yeah.
But then they just get destroyed by Luffy and Zoro.
Yeah, Miss Valentine.
Kind of accidentally. And then also, it was also nice to see that brief show of camaraderie when they were like, I don't know, Vigo's an actual princess, but we've been partners for a while.
Oh,
I
yeah.
kind of like you.
Mr. Nine Sacrifice.
And it was just like, it's super cool to see that stuff happen. And you're like, there's even among the bad guys, so to speak, I put quotations there, there's honor, there's friendship, and there's things where it's like they just have their own thing, right?
Well, it's the good people in the battle.
And we start seeing a lot more on the edge of the other side as well. You know, and just so much is introduced in this arc. And it's such a good arc to open up the grand line.
Do you think it's better than Reverse Mountain or Syrup Village?
I do, personally, because there was more to it, and a lot more was introduced.
It leads to stuff, but by itself.
By itself, I honestly did, because you got to realize, you're like, the whole thing with